Hey y'all. So in a video on Matthew 24, where I had made about Matthew 24 having nothing to do with the rapture. Anyway, I had mentioned that the temple was destroyed in 70 AD. And I got a couple responses similar to this. So Jennifer says, except the second temple wasn't actually destroyed. The entire Western Wall is still standing, the Wailing Wall. And she's right. She's 100% right. The Wailing Wall is still there. But is that the temple? Let's see. Let's first look at what Jesus actually said. And so Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him to show him the buildings of the temple. Buildings, not one, not the temple, but buildings of the temple. So apparently there was the temple, and then there were some extra buildings around there for whatever they were using them for. Maybe for the slaughter of the animals, for the sacrifices, or storage of the animals until they became time to be slaughtered. So apparently there was more than one building up there. And then Jesus said unto them, see ye not all these things, so all the buildings. And then there would be a wall around the courtyard. Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. So he doesn't say just the temple will be destroyed. He says not one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. That's interesting. Let's take a look here. So the first part, I don't have an image to show you, but it is, people can't decide where the temple was. Mostly people accept what we call the Temple Mount. That's the site of the temple and now has the Dome of the Rock on it. But there are quite a few people that believe that was never the temple site. It's down a little bit in what they call the city of David. So if the actual temple is in the city of David, then there is nothing left. And this reference to the Wailing Wall doesn't even have anything to do with the temple. The people that believe the temple was down in the city of David, they say what we call the Temple Mount was actually the fortress of the Roman army, the garrison that was stationed there. That would have been their fort. So if there's some of the fort still left, that doesn't mean nothing. There was no mention of that. It was the temple site, and with multiple buildings, and that no stone would be left unturned and thrown down. But let me show you a picture here. So right here on this bottom part, it says, this is the Western Wall. That's this, all this big wall here is the Wailing Wall, the Western Wall. But up here higher, this is the Temple Mount, way up here. So if you're going by the Temple Mount, what Jesus said is true, and it was destroyed in 70 AD, because this wall is not a wall. Well, first, it wasn't the temple, the wall. The wall would have been up here, and that would go with Jesus saying, no stone being left thrown down, because this is the foundation. All this wall here, this Wailing Wall, is not a wall that goes around the Temple Mount. This is foundation wall. So there is no stone upon it, right? Because no stone left unturned and all thrown down, right? So you wouldn't have to throw down the foundation. It's already down. You see what I mean? The stones on top of it, the wall and whatever buildings, including the temple, those are thrown down. And you can still see, if you go there or watch a video on YouTube, in a certain area, I think it's in the southwest corner, like you can see piles of stones still to this day that were thrown down. They're thrown down from here down to here. And this is, pretty tall. It doesn't really, I think this might be a person here. It doesn't really show anything good for reference for height, but this is high. This is not little, but this is the foundation. This is the foundation of the Temple Mount. It's not wall. It's wall like a foundation on your house might have a wall, but it's not a wall like the wall of the house. You really have to, if you saw a house like on the hill in the front part, where it's more level, you're going to have a wall of like 4 inches or something, because that's the foundation part. It's just that thick. But then when you go around the back of the house, because of the hill, that foundation wall might be 10 feet tall or 4 feet tall or something. It just depends on how much slope it has. And that's not wall, like usable wall, like you're going to hang pictures on it. That's what this is. This is the foundation. This is not temple wall, So this still standing has no bearing or anything on it being destroyed on 70 AD or contradicting what Jesus said. If Jesus says something and you're saying it's wrong, then I think the problem is you. And you need to get on board with Jesus and figure out what it meant. Because Jesus is not the one misunderstanding or saying things wrong. It's us. And not just Jennifer, but all of us. We all misunderstand things in the Bible. We try to look at it and apply it in a 2025 mindset in a Western culture, America, and it doesn't apply. Ancient Israel was an Eastern culture, and they looked at things different than what we looked at. And they had different meanings sometimes, like it says that Jesus, when he was crucified, he was pierced in his hand. And then a lot of people want to say, oh, it's the hand right here in the palm, in the middle of his hand. But we know that according to them, your wrist was part of the hand. We would think of it more as part of the arm and the forearm, but they would consider the wrist part of the hand. So his crucifixion would have been through the wrist, which makes much more sense medically for him to be able to hang and support his weight on the cross. Much more sense than the palm of your hand, which would just rip apart because all the bones are too tiny. So, they said and did things differently than what we did. So we have to adjust our thinking to understand it. That's all, And if we don't do that, we're going to be wrong about stuff like saying, well, there's still the Western Wall, the Wailing Wall. Well, that was not the temple. It was the foundation. And you can't throw it down because there is no down. It is the bottom. It's like saying you're going to throw down your basement. It's already down. It's a hole in the ground. All right, go on. God bless.